Monica had always loved the quiet hum of the library at closing time. The soft whispers of pages turning, the occasional cough, and the distant click of a computer mouse created a comforting pattern of solitude. As she packed up her textbooks and notes, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of excitement for the evening ahead. It wasn't a wild party or a hot date that awaited her, but a simple babysitting gig she'd found online. She'd never done it before, but with the semester's rent looming, she couldn't pass up the extra cash. The house was a 20-minute bike ride from campus, nestled in a neighborhood that looked like it had been plucked straight out of a magazine. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the neat lawns and gleaming windows. Monica pedaled up the driveway, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. She'd never met Camila, the woman who'd hired her, but their brief phone conversation had been professional and to the point. She was expecting someone cold and distant, but as the door swung open, she was met with a pair of warm, albeit slightly tired, eyes that immediately put her at ease. "You must be Monica," Camila said, extending a hand. Her grip was firm, yet gentle, and she had a way of looking directly at you that made you feel like she saw right through any facade you might be hiding behind. "Come in. Sandy's waiting for you. She's had a busy day at school." Monica stepped into the house, her eyes scanning the modern decor and the faint scent of baked cookies that lingered in the air. She felt a sudden rush of nerves. Camila was even more beautiful than her profile picture had suggested. Her hair fell in soft waves around her face, and she had an air of confidence that seemed to fill the room. Monica took a deep breath, reminding herself that this was just a job. But as Camila led her to the living room, she couldn't help but admire the way her hips swayed slightly with each step. "Sandy, this is Monica," Camila announced, gesturing to a small, dark-haired girl curled up on the couch, engrossed in a book. Sandy looked up, her eyes lighting up with curiosity. "Hi, I'm Sandy," she said, her voice small yet cheerful. She was a miniature version of Camila, with the same sharp jawline and piercing gaze. Monica felt her heart melt a little. "Hi, Sandy," Monica replied with a smile. "I'm here to keep you company while your mom's out." Sandy nodded, her curiosity giving way to shyness as she clutched her book to her chest. Camila raised an eyebrow at Monica, a hint of amusement playing on her lips. "Don't let her fool you," she said, her voice low and teasing. "She's a little chatterbox once she warms up to you." Monica's gaze lingered on Camila for a second too long before she knelt beside the couch. "Well, I'm looking forward to it then." She reached out to take the book from Sandy, who relinquished it with a shy smile. It was a children's book about a dragon and a knight. "Looks like you've got good taste in literature." Camila's eyes sparkled as she watched them interact. "I'll be home by 9, she said, her voice brushing against Monica's ear as she handed her a set of house keys. "If you need anything, just call." But she's pretty self-sufficient. The door clicked shut behind Camila and Monica let out a low sigh. She turned her attention back to Sandy, who had already returned to her book. "So, Sandy, what do you want to do?" Sandy looked up, her eyes bright with excitement. "Can we bake cookies?" Monica laughed. "Your mom mentioned you had a busy day. How about we start with something simpler, like playing a board game?" Sandy's face fell, but she nodded. "Okay." They spent the next few hours playing games and talking about school. Monica was surprised at how easy it was to connect with the young girl. They giggled over spilled juice and whispered secrets like they'd known each other for years. Sandy spoke highly of her mother, but Monica couldn't help but notice the sadness that lurked in the shadows of her words. It was as if Camila's absence was a constant weight on her small shoulders. As the evening grew later, Monica began to feel the beginnings of something she hadn't expected. She found herself glancing at the clock not out of boredom, but because she was dreading Camila's return. She didn't want the night to end. The more she talked with Sandy, the more she found herself thinking about Camila. What was she doing? Was she enjoying her evening? Bedtime, kid, Monica said, gently taking the book out of Sandy's hands. It's getting late. Sandy yawned and nodded, the excitement of the evening finally catching up to her. Monica helped her brush her teeth and get into her pajamas, feeling a strange maternal warmth that she hadn't anticipated. She read Sandy a story, her voice soft and soothing, and soon the little girl's eyes grew heavy with sleep. Once Sandy was tucked in, Monica retreated to the living room and took a seat on the couch, scrolling through her phone to pass the time. Her mind kept drifting back to Camila, and she found herself replaying their brief interactions in her head. The way Camila's eyes had crinkled at the corners when she'd teased her, the gentle tone she'd used when talking to Sandy, and the way she'd smelled faintly of lavender. Monica had never felt this way about a woman before, and it was both thrilling and terrifying. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the front door opening. Camila stepped in, looking as composed and beautiful as ever, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. Monica's heart skipped a beat. "How was your night?" Camila asked, hanging her coat on the rack. Monica looked up from her phone, her cheeks flushing slightly. "Good. Sandy's asleep, and she had a blast playing games and reading." Camila nodded, a ghost of a smile crossing her face. "Thanks for coming by, Monica. I'll see you tomorrow." Monica's stomach did a flip. "You like my babysitting?" "Sandy seemed to like you." Monica's heart soared at Camila's words, but she tried to keep her cool. "It's no problem. I enjoy spending time with her." Camila studied her for a moment before sitting down in an armchair across from the couch. "You know, you're the first babysitter she's ever really warmed up to." Monica felt a swell of pride, her heart beating a little faster. "Really?" "Yes," Camila said, her eyes searching Monica's face. "I appreciate that. Most people find her a bit much to handle." Monica leaned forward, her elbows resting on her knees. "She's just a little shy, that's all. Once she gets comfortable, she's great." "So, how was your evening?" "It was fine," Camila said, her tone a bit too curt. She unbuttoned her blazer, revealing a crisp white blouse that clung to her figure in all the right places. Monica's eyes lingered for a second before she caught herself and looked away. "Just a work dinner. Nothing too exciting." Monica nodded. "I'll be going then." "Good night." "Good night," Camila said, her voice a soft murmur as Monica grabbed her bag and keys. As Monica stepped out into the cool night air, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between them. It wasn't just the way Camila had looked at her before she left, it was the way she'd talked about Sandy, the way she'd thanked her. It felt significant. Laying in a big, comfortable bed, Camila stared at the ceiling. For some reason, she was unable to fall asleep. The house felt a bit different today. The usually lifeless house felt more lively for just a moment. And she knew why. The next day was a blur of meetings and emails. Camila had no time to think about much else. Yet every time she saw Sandy, she found herself smiling more than usual. She had never seen her daughter so excited to tell her about a babysitter. Sandy talked nonstop about the games they played and the stories Monica had told her. Monica, on the other hand, couldn't concentrate on her classes. She kept thinking about Camila and her piercing gaze. She had to admit to herself that she was falling hard. Another evening, she arrived at the house with a bag of art supplies. "Surprise," she said, holding up a box of paints and a stack of paper. "I thought we could make some masterpieces." Sandy's eyes lit up. "Really?" Camila nodded, trying to hide her own surprise at Monica's thoughtfulness. "Looks like you've got quite the creative streak," she said, raising an eyebrow at Monica. It's just a little something to keep her entertained, Monica replied, her voice casual. But the way Camila's eyes softened at the sight of the supplies made her heart race. The two of them sat at the kitchen table, side by side, as Sandy painted a picture of a dragon. Camila was quieter than usual, and Monica found herself stealing glances at her. Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, trying to piece together the puzzle of Camila's life. Her confidence was intoxicating, yet there was a wall around her, a shield that Monica hadn't quite figured out how to penetrate. "So, what's your story?" Camila asked suddenly, her brush strokes on the canvas in her hand deliberate and precise. Monica blinked, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" Camila didn't look up from her painting. "You're young in university, babysitting. There's more to you than that, I'm sure." Monica felt her cheeks heat up. "Well, I'm studying literature. I have always wanted to be a teacher." Camila nodded, the corners of her mouth twitching upwards. "That's admirable. Most people your age are still trying to figure out what to do with their lives." Monica shrugged, trying to play it cool. "I've always loved books. Plus, kids are great. They see the world in such a pure way." Camila's gaze flicked towards her, curiosity piqued. "And what about when they're not so pure?" she asked, her voice carrying a hint of challenge. Monica felt a knot in her stomach. "Well, everyone's got their moments," she said with a small laugh, hoping to lighten the mood. "True," Camila said, her eyes not leaving the canvas. "But some moments are harder to handle than others." Monica nodded, understanding the unspoken words behind Camila's question. "Sandy's a sweetheart. It's easy to be around her." Camila set down her brush and finally met her gaze. "It's not just Sandy. It's you. You make things easier." The room felt suddenly smaller, the air charged with something unspoken. Monica's heart raced, and she found it hard to breathe. She'd never felt this way about a client before, and she wasn't sure how to navigate these uncharted waters. But she knew she didn't want to turn back. "Thank you," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "That means a lot to me." Camila's eyes searched hers for a moment longer before she nodded and turned back to her painting. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of color and laughter as they painted alongside Sandy. Monica found herself drawn to Camila's confidence and the way she moved with such purpose. She had never felt this way about someone she was working for, and it left her feeling both exhilarated and anxious. Days turned into weeks, and their evening ritual became something they both looked forward to. Camila started to open up more, sharing stories about her own childhood and the challenges of being a single mother. Monica listened, her heart swelling with every shared memory. She found herself falling deeper into the rhythm of Camila's life, and the thought of not being a part of it was unbearable. One night, as they were cleaning up the kitchen after a particularly messy dinner of spaghetti and meatballs, Camila turned to her with a sigh. "I don't know what I'd do without you," she said, her eyes filled with genuine appreciation. Monica's heart skipped a beat, and she felt the words on the tip of her tongue, but she swallowed them down. "It's no problem," she said instead, trying to keep her voice even. "I enjoy spending time with you both." Camila's expression remained unreadable as she nodded. "Well, I'm grateful for that." She handed Monica a dish towel, and their hands brushed together, sending a jolt of electricity up her arm. Monica's thoughts grew more tangled with each passing day. She found herself thinking about Camila during her classes, her mind drifting to the warmth of her smile and the sound of her laughter. The flirty banter between them grew more frequent, each playful remark a dance closer to the edge of something deeper. But Camila remained guarded, and Monica wasn't sure if she was reading too much into the situation. Was this just a friendship, or could it be something more? One evening, as they were saying their goodnights, Monica felt the weight of her feelings too heavy to bear. Camila, she began, her voice tentative. Camila looked at her, her eyes searching. I just wanted to tell you that. I think you're amazing. Camila's expression remained neutral, but Monica could see the surprise in the way her eyes widened. Thank you, she said, her voice soft. That's very kind of you to say. Monica smiled slightly. I'm going home now. Camila just looked at her for a while, then said playfully, Is there someone special waiting for you at home? Monica felt her cheeks heat up. She tried to laugh it off. No, no one. Though I do have someone special. Camila's gaze sharpened. Oh? Who's that? Monica's heart raced as she met Camila's eyes. I can't tell you that, but if you agree to go to dinner with me sometime, I may tell you. Camila raised an eyebrow, a smirk playing on her lips. Is that so? Monica nodded, feeling a rush of adrenaline. Yeah, just dinner. As friends. Camila's smile grew, and she leaned against the counter, her arms crossed over her chest. Friends, huh? Monica's heart thudded in her chest. Yeah, just friends. Camila's smirk grew into a full smile, and she stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Okay, Monica. Dinner it is. Monica couldn't believe she'd asked Camila out. It felt like a dream, but the way Camila's eyes were studying her, it was clear she'd heard every word. She nodded, trying to play it cool. Great. I'll pick you up at 7. Camila's smile grew, and she leaned in closer. Make it 6:30. I'd like to spend a little extra time with the babysitter before I leave. Monica's heart skipped a beat at the proximity, but she kept her cool. 6:30 it is. She turned to leave, trying to hide the excitement bubbling within her. The night of the dinner, Monica felt a mix of excitement and dread. She picked out an outfit that she hoped was both casual and flirty, not wanting to seem overeager, but also wanting to make an impression. When she arrived at Camila's house, Sandy was already tucked in bed, and the house was filled with a delicious aroma of something baking in the oven. At the restaurant, the tension was palpable as they sat across from each other. The candle flickered, casting shadows across Camila's face, highlighting the curve of her cheekbones. Monica's hands felt clammy, and she took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. So, what's your favorite book? Camila asked, breaking the silence with a teasing smile. Monica's eyes lit up, happy to steer the conversation to safer waters. That's a tough one. I'd have to say Pride and Prejudice. It's a classic love story with strong, witty characters. She took a sip of her water, watching Camila's expression. What about you? Camila leaned back in her chair, considering the question. I'm more of a To Kill a Mockingbird person. It's a powerful statement about justice and morality. Monica nodded, her gaze lingering on Camila's lips. It's a great book, but I've always had a soft spot for the romance in Pride and Prejudice. She couldn't help the hint of flirtation in her voice. Camila's eyes sparkled. So you're a hopeless romantic, she said, her tone playful yet probing. Monica felt her cheeks flush. Maybe a little, she admitted. But who doesn't love a good love story? Camila chuckled. Fair enough. But sometimes reality isn't quite so straightforward. Monica felt a pang in her chest. That's true. But maybe it's the hope of finding that kind of love that makes us keep looking. Camila's expression grew more serious, her gaze holding Monica's. Or maybe it's the fear of being hurt that makes us keep our guards up. Monica's heart skipped a beat. I know what you mean, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But sometimes, you just have to take a chance. Camila's eyes searched hers, and for a moment, Monica thought she saw something flicker in their depths. Is that what you're doing here? She asked, her voice low and measured. Monica's breath hitched. Taking a chance? Camila leaned in closer, her voice a soft caress.
Yeah.
Asking me out to dinner. It's not exactly a typical babysitting perk. Monica's heart raced, but she held her ground. I know it's not typical, but I couldn't help myself. There's just something about you, Camila. Camila's gaze remained intense, a silent question hanging in the air. Monica took a deep breath and reached across the table, placing her hand over Camila's. I know you're not looking for anything serious, but I can't ignore these feelings. And maybe, just maybe, you feel something too? For a moment, Camila's guard seemed to falter, her eyes searching Monica's. Then she took a deep breath and nodded. I do, she admitted, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea. Monica felt a rush of hope. Why not? Camila sighed, her hand still beneath Monica's. Because I'm not the easiest person to be with. I have a lot of things to deal with, and I don't want to burden you with it. Monica leaned in, her gaze unwavering. Everyone has things they are dealing with. I'm not afraid of it. Camila's eyes searched hers, and she could see the determination in Monica's expression. You don't even know what you're getting yourself into. Monica leaned back in her chair, her smile gentle. That's the thing about taking chances, Camila. You never know what's on the other side, but you do it anyway. Camila studied her for a moment before her grip tightened on Monica's hand. Okay, she said finally, let's take this chance. The rest of the dinner passed in a whirlwind of conversation, laughter, and shared stories. The connection between them grew stronger with each passing minute, and by the time dessert arrived, the air was charged with an undeniable attraction. Monica's heart fluttered as Camila leaned closer, sharing a sweet smile that seemed to hold all the secrets of the universe.